The Seasons by James Thompson. Book 2, Summer, Part 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Abe Neiman. From brightening fields of ether fair disclosed, Child of the sun, refulgent summer comes In pride of youth, and felt through nature's depth. He comes attended by the sultry hours, And ever fanning breezes on his way. While from his ardent look the turning spring Averts her blushful face, and earth and skies All smiling to his hot dominion leaves. Hence let me haste into the midwood shade, Where scarce a sunbeam wanders through the gloom ; And on the dark green grass beside the brink Of haunted stream, that by the roots of oak Rolls o'er the rocky channel, lie at large, And sing the glories of a circling year. Come, inspiration, from thy hermit seat, By mortal seldom found. May fancy dare from thy fixed serious eye, And raptur'd glance shot on surrounding heaven, To steal one look creative of the poet, Every power exalting to an ecstasy of soul. And thou, my youthful Muse's early friend, In whom the human graces all unite, Pure light of mind, and tenderness of heart, Genius and wisdom, the gay social sense By decency chastised, goodness and wit In seldom meeting harmony combined, Unblemish'd honour, and an active zeal For Britain's glory, liberty, and man. O Dodington, attend my rural song, Stoop to my theme, inspirit every line, And teach me to deserve thy just applause. With what an awful world-revolving power Were first the unwieldy planets launch'd along Th' illimitable void ; thus to remain Amidst the flux of many thousand years. That oft has swept the toiling race of men. And all their labour'd monuments away. Firm, unremitting, matchless in their course. To the kind tempered change of night and day. And of the seasons ever stealing round. Minutely faithful ; such the all-perfect hand. That poised, impels, and rules the steady whole. When now no more the alternate twins are fired. And Cancer reddens with the solar blaze. Short is the doubtful empire of the night. And soon, observant of approaching day. The meek*eyed Morn appears, mother of dews. At first faint gleaming in the dappled east. Till far o'er ether spreads the widening glow. And, from before the lustre of her face. White break the clouds away. With quickened step brown Night retires. Young Day pours in apace, and opens all The lawny prospect wide. The dripping rock, the mountain's misty tops Swell on the sight, and brighten with the dawn. Blue thro' the dusk the smoking currents shine. And from the bladed field the fearful hare Limps awkward ; while along the forest glade The wild deer trip, and often turning gaze At early passenger. Music awakes the native voice of undissembled joy. And thick around the woodland hymns arise. Rous'd by the cock, the soon*clad shepherd leaves His mossy cottage, where with peace he dwells. And from the crowded fold, in order, drives His flock to taste the verdure of the morn. Falsely luxurious, will not man awake? And, springing from the bed of sloth, enjoy The cool, the fragrant, and the silent hour. To meditation due, and sacred song? For is there aught in sleep can charm the wise? To lie in dead oblivion, losing half The fleeting moments of too short a life. Total extinction of the enlightened soul. Or else to feverish vanity alive. Wilder'd, and tossing through distempered dreams. Who would in such a gloomy state remain Longer than nature craves, when every muse And every blooming pleasure wait without, To bless the wildy devious morning walk? But yonder comes the powerful king of day, Rejoicing in the east. The lessening cloud, the kindling azure, and the mountain's brow Illumed with fluid gold, his near approach Betoken glad. Lo! now apparent all, aslant the dew-bright earth And colour'd air, he looks in boundless majesty abroad, And sheds the shining day, that burnish'd plays On rocks, and hills, and towers, and wandering streams, High gleaming from afar. Prime cheerer light of all material beings first and best. Efflux divine, nature's resplendent robe, Without whose vesting beauty all were wrapt In unessential gloom. And thou, O Sun, soul of surrounding worlds, in whom best seen shines out thy Maker, may I sing of thee? 'Tis by thy secret, strong, attractive force, As with a chain indissoluble bound, Thy system rolls entire. From the far bourne of utmost Saturn, wheeling wide his round Of 30 years, to Mercury, whose disk Can scarce be caught by philosophic eye, Lost in the near effulgence of thy blaze. Informer of the planetary train, Without whose quickening glance their cumbrous orbs Were brute unlovely mass, inert and dead. And not, as now, the green abodes of life. How many forms of being wait on thee, Inhaling spirit! From the unfettered mind By thee sublim'd, down to the daily race, The mixing myriads of thy settling beam. The vegetable world is also thine, Parent of seasons, who the pomp precede That waits thy throne. As thro' thy vast domain annual, Along the bright ecliptic road, In world rejoicing state it moves sublime. Meantime th' expecting nations, circled gay With all the various tribes of foodful earth, Implore thy bounty, or send grateful up A common hymn ; while round thy beaming car, High seen, the seasons lead, in sprightly dance Harmonious knit the rosy finger'd hours. The zephyrs floating loose, the timely rains. Of bloom ethereal the light footed dews. And softened into joy the surly storms. These in successive turn, with lavish hand, Shower every beauty, every fragrance shower. Herbs, flowers, and fruits, till kindling at thy touch. From land to land is flush'd the vernal year. Nor to the surface of enlightened earth. Graceful with hills, and dales, and leafy woods. Her liberal tresses, is thy force confined. But, to the bowel'd cavern darting deep. The mineral kinds confess thy mighty power. Effulgent hence the veiny marble shines. Hence labour draws his tools. Hence burnish'd war Gleams on the day, the nobler works of peace. Hence bless mankind, and generous commerce binds The round of nations in a golden chain. The unfruitful rock itself, impregned by thee, In dark retirement forms the lucid stone. The lively diamond drinks thy purest rays. Collected light compact, that polish'd bright. In all its native lustre let abroad. Dares, as it sparkles on the fair one's breast. With vain ambition emulate her eyes. At thee the ruby lights its deepening glow. And with a waving radiance inward flames. From thee the sapphire solid ether takes Its hue cerulean ; and of evening tinct The purple streaming amethyst is thine. With thy own smile the yellow topaz burns. Nor deeper verdure dyes the robe of Spring. When first she gives it to the southern gale. Than the green emerald shows. But all combined. Thick through the whitening opal play thy beams. Or, flying several from its surface, form A trembling variance of revolving hues. As the sight varies in the gazer's hand. The very dead creation from thy touch Assumes a mimic life. By thee refined, In brighter mazes the relucent stream Plays o'er the mead. The precipice abrupt, Projecting horror on the blackened flood. Drooping all night, and when he warm returns. Points her enamour'd bosom to his ray. Home from his morning task the swain retreats. His flock before him stepping to the fold. While the full udder'd mother lows around The cheerful cottage, then expecting food. The food of innocence and health. The daw, the rook, and magpie, to the grey grown oaks That the calm village in their verdant arms Sheltering embrace, direct their lazy flight. When on the mingled boughs they sit embower'd All the hot noon, till cooler hours arise. Faint underneath the household fowls convene. And in a corner of the buzzing shade. The house dog with the vacant greyhound lies Outstretched and sleepy. In his slumbers one attacks the nightly thief. And one exults o'er hill and dale. Till wakened by the wasp, they starting snap. Nor shall the muse disdain to let the little Noisy summer race live in her lay. And flutter through her song. Not mean, though simple, to the sun allied. From him they draw their animating fire. Waked by his warmer ray, the reptile young Come wing'd abroad, by the light air upborne. Lighter and full of soul. From every chink and secret corner where they sleep away the wintry storms. Or, rising from their tombs to higher life. By myriads forth at once swarming they pour. Of all the varied hues their beauty beaming parent can disclose. 10,000 forms, 10,000 different tribes, people the blaze. To sunny waters some by fatal instinct fly. Or on the pool they sportive wheel. Or sailing down the stream are snatched immediate By the quick-eyed trout, or darting salmon. Through the greenwood glades some love to stray. There lodged amusive and fed in the fresh leaf. Luxurious, others make the meads their choice. And visit every flower, and every latent herb. For the sweet task to propagate their kinds. And where to wrap, in what soft beds, their young yet undisclosed, employs their tender care. Some to the house, the fold, and dairy hungry bend their flight. Sip around the pail, or taste the curdling cheese. Oft, inadvertent, from the milky stream they meet their fate. Or, weltering in the bowl, with powerless wings around them wrapped, expire. But chief to heedless flies the window proves A constant death, where gloomily retir'd The villain spider lives, cunning and fierce. Mixture abhorr'd. Amid a mangled heap of carcasses. In eager watch he sits, o'erlooking all His waving snares around. Near the dire cell the dreadless wanderer oft passes. As oft the ruffian shows his front. The prey at last ensnared, he dreadful darts. And rapid glide along the leaning line. And fixing in the wretch his cruel fangs. Strikes backward grimly pleas'd. The fluttering wing and shriller sound declare extreme distress. And ask the helping hospitable hand. Resounds the living surface of the ground. Nor undelightful is the ceaseless hum To him who muses through the woods at noon. Or drowsy shepherd as he lies reclined. With half-shut eyes, beneath the floating shade Of willows grey, close crowding o'er the brook. Gradual from these what numerous kinds descend. Evading e'en the microscopic eye. Full nature swarms with life. One wondrous mass of animals, or atoms organized. Waiting the vital breath, when parent Heaven Shall bid his spirit blow. The hoary fen in putrid streams, amidst the living cloud of pestilence, thro' subterranean cells, where searching sunbeams scarce can find a way, earth animated heaves. The flowery leaf wants not its soft inhabitants. Secure within its winding citadel, the stone holds multitudes. But chief the forest boughs, that dance unnumbered to the playful breeze, the downy orchard, and the melting pulp of mellow fruit, the nameless nations feed of evanescent insects. Where the pool stands mantled o'er with green, invisible, amid the floating verdure millions stray. Each liquid too, whether it pierces, soothes, inflames, refreshes, or exalts the taste, with various forms abounds. Nor is the stream of purest crystal, nor the lucid air, though one transparent vacancy it seems, void of their unseen people. These, concealed by the kind art of forming heaven, escape the grosser eye of man. For, if the worlds in worlds enclosed should on his senses burst, from cates ambrosial and the nectar'd bowl he would abhorrent turn, and in dead night, when silence sleeps o'er all, be stunned with noise. Let no presuming impious railer tax creative wisdom, as if aught was form'd in vain, or not for admirable ends. Shall little haughty ignorance pronounce his works unwise, of which the smallest part exceeds the narrow vision of her mind? As if upon a full proportioned dome, on swelling columns heaved the pride of art, a critic fly, whose feeble ray scarce spreads an inch around, with blind presumption bold should dare to tax the structure of the whole. And lives the man whose universal eye has swept at once the unbounded scheme of things, mark their dependence so, and in firm accord, as with an unfaltering accent to conclude, that this availeth not? Has any seen the mighty chain of beings lessening down from infinite perfection to the brink of dreary nothing, desolate abyss? From which astonish'd thought recoiling turns? Till then alone let zealous praise ascend, and hymns of holy wonder to that Power, whose wisdom shines as lovely on our minds as on our smiling eyes his servant Son. Thicken yon stream of light, 1,000 ways, Upward and downward, thwarting and convolved, The quivering nations sport, till tempest wing'd Fierce winter sweeps them from the face of day. Even so luxurious men, unheeding, pass An idle summer life in fortune's shine, A season's glitter. Thus they flutter on From toy to toy, from vanity to vice, Till blown away by death, oblivion comes behind, And strikes them from the book of life. Now swarms the village o'er the jovial mead. The rustic youth, brown with meridian toil, Healthful and strong, full as the summer rose Blown by prevailing suns; the ruddy maid Half naked, swelling on the sight, and all Her kindled graces burning o'er her cheek. Even stooping age is here, and infant hands Trail the long rake, or, with the fragrant load O'ercharged, amid the kind oppression roll. Wide flies the tedded grain, all in a row Advancing broad, or wheeling round the field, They spread the breathing harvest to the sun, That throws refreshful round a rural smell. Or as they rake the green appearing ground, Or drive the dusky wave along the mead, The russet haycock rises thick behind, In order gay; while heard from dale to dale, Waking the breeze, resounds the blended voice Of happy labour, love, and social glee. Or rushing thence, in one diffusive band, They drive the troubled flocks, by many a dog Compelled to where the mazy running brook Forms a deep pool. This bank abrupt and high, and that fair spreading in a pebbled shore, Urged to the giddy brink, much as the toil, The clamour much of men, and boys, and dogs. ere the soft fearful people to the flood commit their woolly sides. And oft the swain, on some impatient seizing, hurls them in, emboldened then, nor hesitating more, fast, fast they plunge amid the flashing wave, and panting labour to the farthest shore. Repeated this, till deep the well-wash'd fleece has drunk the flood, and from his lively haunt the trout is banished from the sordid stream. Heavy and dripping to the breezy brow slow move the harmless race, where, as they spread their swelling treasures to the sunny ray, inly disturbed, and wondering what this wild outrageous tumult means, their loud complaints the country fill, and tossed from rock to rock, incessant bleatings run around the hills. At last, of snowy white, the gather'd flocks Are in the wattled pen innumerous pressed. Head above head, and rang'd in lusty rows, The shepherds sit, and whet the sounding shears. The housewife waits to roll her fleecy stores, With all her gay dressed maids attending round. One, chief, in gracious dignity enthroned, Shines o'er the rest, the pastoral queen, and raise her smiles, sweet beaming, on her shepherd king. While the glad circle round them yield their souls To festive mirth, and wit that knows no gall. Meantime their joyous task goes on apace. Some mingling stir the melted tar, and some, Deep on the new shorn vagrant's heaving side, To stamp his master's cypher ready stand. Others the unwilling wether drag along. And glorying in his might, the sturdy boy Holds by the twisted horns the indignant ram. Behold where bound, and of its robe bereft By needy man, that all depending lord, How meek, how patient the mild creature lies! What softness in its melancholy face! What dumb complaining innocence appears! Fear not, ye gentle tribes! 'Tis not the knife Of horrid slaughter that is o'er you waved. No, 'tis the tender swain's well guided shears. Who, having now to pay his annual care Borrowed your fleece, to you a cumbrous load, Will send you bounding to your hills again. A simple scene! Yet hence Britannia sees Her solid grandeur rise. Hence she commands the exalted stores Of every brighter clime, the treasures of the sun Without his rage. Hence, fervent all with culture, toil, and arts, Wide glows her land. Her dreadful thunder hence Rides over the waves sublime. And now, even now, impending hangs o'er Gallia's humbled coast. Hence rules the circling deep, and awes the world. 'Tis raging noon, and vertical the sun Darts on the head direct his forceful rays. O'er heaven and earth, far as the ranging eye Can sweep, a dazzling deluge reigns. And all from pole to pole is undistinguished blaze. In vain the sight, dejected to the ground, Stoops for relief. Thence hot ascending steams, and keen reflection pain. Deep to the root of vegetation parched, the cleaving fields and slippery lawn An arid hue disclose, blast fancy's blooms, And wither e'en the soul. Echo no more returns the cheerful sound Of sharpening scythe. The mower sinking heaps O'er him the humid hay, with flowers perfumed. And scarce a chirping grasshopper is heard Through the dumb mead. Distressful nature pants. The very streams look languid from afar. Or, through the unsheltered glade, impatient, seem To hurl into the covert of the grove. All*conquering heat, oh, intermit thy wrath! And on my throbbing temples potent, thus beam not so fierce. Incessant still you flow, and still another fervent flood succeeds, Pour'd on the head profuse. In vain I sigh, and restless turn, and look around for night. Night is far off, and hotter hours approach. Thrice happy he, who on the sunless side Of a romantic mountain, forest crown'd. beneath the whole collected shade reclines. Or in the gelid caverns woodbine wrought, And fresh bedewed with ever spouting streams, Sits coolly calm ; while all the world without, Unsatisfied and sick, tosses in noon. Emblem instructive of the virtuous man. Who keeps his tempered mind serene and pure. And every passion aptly harmonized, Amid a jarring world with vice inflamed. Welcome, ye shades! Ye bowery thickets, hail! Ye lofty pines, ye venerable oaks. Ye ashes wild, resounding o'er the steep. Delicious is your shelter to the soul. As to the hunted hart the sallying spring. Or stream full flowing, that his swelling sides Laves as he floats along the herbag'd brink. Cool thro' the nerves your pleasing comfort glides. The heart beats glad, the fresh expanded eye And ear resume their watch, the sinews knit. And life shoots swift thro' all the lightened limbs. Around th' adjoining brook, that purls along The vocal grove, now fretting o'er a rock. Now scarcely moving thro' a reedy pool. Now starting into a sudden stream. And now gently diffus'd into a limpid plain. A various group the herds and flocks compose. Rural confusion. On the grassy bank Some ruminating lie, while others stand Half in the flood, and often bending, sip The circling surface. In the middle droops The strong laborious ox, of honest front. Which incompos'd he shakes ; and from his sides The troublous insects lashes with his tail. Returning still. Amid his subjects safe Slumbers the monarch swain ; his careless arm Thrown round his head, on downy moss sustained. Here laid his scrib, with wholesome viands filled ; There, listening every noise, his watchful dog. Light fly his slumbers, if perchance a flight Of angry gad flies fasten on the herd. That startling scatters from the shallow brook. In search of lavish stream. Tossing the foam, they scorn the keeper's voice. And scour the plain thro' all the bright severity of noon. While from their labouring breasts, a hollow moan Proceeding, runs low bellowing round the hills. Oft in this season too the horse, provok'd. While his big sinews full of spirits swell. Trembling with vigour, in the heat of blood Springs the high fence, and o'er the field effus'd Darts on the gloomy flood with stedfast eye. And heart estrang'd to fear. His nervous breast, Luxuriant and erect, the seat of strength. Bears down th' opposing stream. Quenchless his thirst, he takes the river at redoubled draughts. And with wide nostrils snorting, skims the wave. Still let me pierce into the midnight depth Of yonder grove, of wildest largest growth. That forming high in air a woodland choir. Nods o'er the mount beneath. At every step, Solemn and slow, the shadows blacker fall. And all is awful listening gloom around. These are the haunts of meditation ; these the scenes Where ancient bards th' inspiring breath ecstatic felt. And from this world retir'd, convers'd with angels. And immortal forms on gracious errands bent. To save the fall of virtue struggling on the brink of vice. In waking whispers, and repeating dreams. To hint pure thought, and warn the favour'd soul For future trials fated to prepare. To prompt the poet, who devoted gives His muse to better themes, to soothe the pangs Of dying worth, and from the patriot's breast. Backward to mingle in detested war. But foremost when engaged, to turn the death. And numberless such offices of love. Daily and nightly zealous to perform. Shook sudden from the bosom of the sky, 1,000 shapes or glide along the dusk. Or stalk majestic on. Deep rous'd, I feel a sacred terror, a severe delight. Creep thro' my mortal frame, And thus methinks a voice, than human more, the abstracted ear of fancy strikes. Be not of us afraid, poor kindred man. Thy fellow creatures, we from the same parent power our beings drew. The same our Lord and laws and great pursuit. Once, some of us, like thee, through stormy life Toiled, tempest beaten, ere we could attain This holy calm, this harmony of mind, Where purity and peace immingle charms. Then fear not us, but with responsive song, Amid these dim recesses, undisturbed By noisy folly and discordant vice, Of nature sing with us, and nature's God. Here frequent at the visionary hour, When musing midnight reigns, or silent noon, Angelic harps are in full concert heard, And voices chanting from the wood*crowned hill, The deepening dale, in inmost sylvan glade. A privilege bestowed by us alone On contemplation, or the hallowed ear Of poets swelling to seraphic strains. And art thou, Stanley, of that sacred band? Alas, for us too soon! Thou raised above the reach of human pain, Above the flight of human joy. Yet, with a mingled ray of sadly pleased Remembrance, must thou feel a mother's love, A mother's tender woe? Who seeks thee still in many a former scene? Seeks thy fair form, thy lovely beaming eyes, Thy pleasing converse, by gay lively sense inspired ; Where moral wisdom mildly shone without the toil of art. And virtue glowed in all her smiles without forbidding pride. But, O thou best of parents, wipe thy tears, Or rather to parental Nature pay The tears of grateful joy, who for a while Lent thee this younger self, this opening bloom Of thy enlightened mind and gentle worth. Believe the Muse, the wintry blast of death Kills not the buds of virtue ; no, they spread. Beneath the heavenly beam of brighter suns, Thro' endless ages, into higher powers. Thus up the mount, in airy vision wrapt, I stray, regardless whither, till the sound Of a near fall of water every sense Wakes from the charm of thought. Swift shrinking back, I check my steps, and view the broken scene. Smooth to the shelving brink a copious flood Rolls fair and placid ; where collected all In one impetuous torrent, down the steep It thundering shoots, and shakes the country round. At first an azure sheet it rushes broad ; Then whitening by degrees, as prone it falls. And from the loud resounding rocks below, Dash'd in a cloud of foam, it sends aloft An hoary mist, and forms a ceaseless shower. Nor can the tortured wave here find repose. But raging still amid the shaggy rocks, Now flashes o'er the scattered fragments, now Aslant the hollowed channel rapid darts ; And falling fast from gradual slope to slope, With wild infracted course and lessened roar, It gains a safer bed, and steals at last Along the mazes of the quiet vale. Invited from the cliff, to whose dark brow He clings, the steep ascending eagle soars With upward pinions thro' the flood of day ; And giving full his bosom to the blaze, Gains on the sun, while all the tuneful race, Smit by the afflictive noon, disorder'd droop Deep in the thicket ; or from bower to bower Responsive, force an interrupted strain. The stock dove only thro' the forest coos, Mournfully hoarse, oft ceasing from his plaint. Short interval of weary woe ! Again the sad idea of his murder'd mate, Struck from his side by savage fowler's guile, Across his fancy comes, and then resounds A louder song of sorrow thro' the grove. Beside the dewy border let me sit. all in the freshness of the humid air. There in that hollowed rock, grotesque and wild, an ample chair moss lined, and overhead by flowering umbrage shaded, where the bee strays diligent, and with the extracted balm of fragrant woodbine loads his little thigh. Now while I taste the sweetness of the shade, while nature lies around deep lulled in noon, now come, bold fancy, spread a daring flight, and view the wonders of the torrid zone. Climes unrelenting, with whose rage compar'd yon blaze is feeble, and yon skies are cool. See how at once the bright effulgent sun, Rising direct, swift chases from the sky The short liv'd twilight, and with ardent blaze Looks gaily fierce thro' all the dazzling air. He mounts his throne ; but kind before him sends, Issuing from out the portals of the morn, The general breeze, to mitigate his fire, And breathe refreshment on a fainting world. Great are the scenes, with dreadful beauty crown'd, And barbarous wealth, that see, each circling year, Returning suns and double seasons pass ; Rocks rich in gems, and mountains big with mines. That on the high equator ridgy rise, Whence many a bursting stream auriferous plays. Majestic woods, of every vigorous green, Stage above stage, high waving o'er the hills ; Or to the far horizon wide diffus'd, A boundless deep immensity of shade. Here lofty trees, to ancient song unknown, The noble sons of potent heat and floods, Prone rushing from the clouds, rear high to heaven Their thorny stems, and broad around them throw Meridian gloom. Here, in eternal prime, unnumber'd fruits, Of keen delicious taste, and vital spirit, Drink amid the cliffs and burning sands That bank the shrubby vales, redoubled day ; Yet in their rugged coats a friendly juice To cool its rage contain. Bear me, Pomona, to thy citron groves, To where the lemon and the piercing lime, With the deep orange, glowing thro' the green, Their lighter glories blend. Lay me reclined beneath the spreading tamarind That shakes, fanned by the breeze, its ever cooling fruit. Deep in the night the massy locust sheds. Quench my hot limbs, or lead me thro' the maze, Embowering endless, of the Indian fig. Or thrown at gayer ease on some fair brow, Let me behold, by breezy murmurs cool'd. Broad o'er my head the verdant cedar wave, And high palmettos lifting their graceful shade. O, stretch'd amid these orchards of the sun, Give me to drain the cocoa's milky bowl. And from the palm to draw its freshening wine, More bounteous far than all the frantic juice Which Bacchus pours. Nor on its slender twigs low bending, be The full pomegranate scorn'd ; nor creeping thro' the woods the gelid race of berries. Oft in humble station dwells unboastful worth, Above fastidious pomp. Witness thou best, Anana, thou the pride Of vegetable life, beyond whate'er The poets imag'd in the golden age. Quick let me strip thee of thy tufty coat, Spread thy ambrosial stores, and feast with Jove. From these the prospect varies. Plains immense lie stretch'd below, interminable meads, and vast savannahs, where the wandering eye unfixed is in a verdant ocean lost. Another Flora there of bolder hues, and richer sweets beyond our garden's pride, Plays o'er the field, and showers with sudden hand exuberant spring. For oft these valleys shift their green embroidered robe To fiery brown, and swift to green again, As scorching suns, or streaming dews and torrent rains prevail. Along these lonely regions, where retired from little scenes of art, great nature dwells in awful solitude, and naught is seen but the wild herds that own no master's stall. Prodigious rivers roll their fattening seas, on whose luxuriant herbage, half concealed, like a fallen cedar, far diffused his train, cased in green scales, the crocodile extends. The flood disparts. Behold, in plaited mail, Behemoth rears his head. Glanced from his side, the darted steel in idle shivers flies. He fearless walks the plain, or seeks the hills, where as he crops his varied fare, the herds in widening circle round forget their food, and at the harmless stranger wondering gaze. Peaceful beneath primeval trees, that cast their ample shade o'er Niger's yellow stream, and where the Ganges rolls his sacred wave, or mid the central depth of blackening woods high raised in solemn theatre around, leans the huge elephant, wisest of brutes, O truly wise, with gentle might endowed, though powerful, not destructive. Here he sees revolving ages sweep the changeful earth, and empires rise and fall. Regardless he of what the never resting race of men project. Thrice happy, could he 'scape their guile, who mine from cruel avarice his steps, or with his towery grandeur swell their state, the pride of kings, or else his strength pervert, and bid him rage amid the mortal fray, astonished at the madness of mankind. Wide o'er the winding umbrage of the floods, like vivid blossoms glowing from afar, thick swarm the brighter birds. For nature's hand, that with a sportive vanity has decked the plumy nations, there her gayest hues profusely pours. But if she bids them shine, arrayed in all the beauteous beams of day, yet, frugal still, she humbles them in song. Nor envy we the gaudy robes they lent proud Montezuma's realm, whose legions cast a boundless radiance waving on the sun, while Philomel is ours, while in our shades, through the soft silence of the listening night, the sober-suited songstress trills her lay. But come, my muse, the desert barrier burst, a wild expanse of lifeless sand and sky, and swifter than the toiling caravan shoot o'er the vale of Sennar. Ardent climb the Nubian mountains, and the secret bounds of jealous Abyssinia boldly pierce. Thou art no ruffian, who beneath the mask of social commerce comest to rob their wealth. No holy fury thou, blaspheming heaven, with consecrated steel to stab their peace, and through the land, yet red from civil wounds, to spread the purple tyranny of Rome. Thou, like the harmless bee, mayst freely range, from mead to mead bright with exalted flowers, from jasmine grove to grove mayst wander gay, through palmy shades and aromatic woods that grace the plains, invest the peopled hills, and up the more than alpine mountains wave. There on the breezy summit, spreading fair for many a league, or on stupendous rocks, that from the sun redoubling valley lift, cool to the middle air, their lawny tops, where palaces, and fanes, and villas rise, and gardens smile around, and cultured fields, and fountains gush, and careless herds and flocks securely stray, a world within itself disdaining all assault. There let me draw, ethereal soul, there drink reviving gales, profusely breathing from the spicy groves and vales of fragrance. There at distance hear the roaring floods, and cataracts that sweep from disemboweled earth the virgin gold, and o'er the varied landscape restless rove, fervent with life of every fairer kind, a land of wonders, which the sun still eyes with ray direct, as of the lovely realm enamoured, and delighting there to dwell. How changed the scene! In blazing height of noon The sun, oppressed, is plunged in thickest gloom. Still horror reigns, a dreary twilight round Of struggling night and day malignant mix'd. For to the hot equator crowding fast, Where, high rarefied, the yielding air Admits their stream, incessant vapours roll, Amazing clouds on clouds continual heap'd, Or whirled tempestuous by the gusty wind. Or silent borne along, heavy and slow. With the big stores of steaming oceans charged. Meantime, amid these upper seas, condensed Around the cold aerial mountain's brow. And by conflicting winds together dashed. The thunder holds his black tremendous throne. From cloud to cloud the rending lightnings rage. Till, in the furious elemental war Dissolved, the whole precipitated mass Unbroken floods, and solid torrents pour. The treasures these, hid from the bounded search Of ancient knowledge, whence with annual pomp, Rich king of floods, o'erflows the swelling Nile. From his 2 springs in Gojam's sunny realm, Pure welling out, he thro' the lucid lake Of fair Dambia rolls his infant stream. There, by the Naiads nurs'd, he sports away His playful youth, amid the fragrant isles. That with unfading verdure smile around. Ambitious, thence the manly river breaks. And gathering many a flood, and copious fed With all the mellowed treasures of the sky, Winds in progressive majesty along. Thro' splendid kingdoms now devolves his maze. Now wanders wild o'er solitary tracts Of life deserted sand. Till, glad to quit the joyless desert, Down the Nubian rocks, from thundering steep to steep, He pours his urn, and Egypt joys beneath the spreading wave. His brother Niger too, and all the floods In which the full form'd maids of Afric lave Their jetty limbs, and all that from the track Of woody mountains stretch'd thro' gorgeous Ind, Fall on Cormandel's coast, or Malabar. From Menam's orient stream, that nightly shines With insect lamps, to where Aurora sheds On Indus' smiling banks the rosy shower. All at this bounteous season ope their urns. And pour untoiling harvest o'er the land. End of Part 1 of Book 2, Summer, of The Seasons by James Thomson.